Welcome back, everyone. The last video was our race at the Barber Motor Sports Park, and if you saw that video, you saw the problems that we ran into. So we've made a list, and we're going to start fixing some of the things. Some of the things on the list are things that we have to do, and some of the things on the list are things we want to do. The three most important things we need to do are: one, we got to get the starter working. The only way we can start it is to push start it. Number two, the clutch is really worn out, so we're going to have to replace that. And three, the main seal on the back of the engine is leaking. What we're going to do is pull the engine, take the transmission off, and just go ahead and go through all of that and get it perfect for the next race. I almost forgot. In the last video, you probably saw where our head gasket, we thought it might be leaking and we poured some of that bars leak in there. We're going to go ahead and pull the head off and change the head gasket too. What I want to do is take off the fenders and the front end, make it easy to get around. Then we'll pull the wheels off, pull the axles out, and we should be ready to pull the engine not long after that. So let's get started. We have removed the fenders, the front bumper, I don't know, all the sheet metal, the bumper support.
All that crap.
We're disconnecting everything from the top. We got the radiator out of there, radiator fan. Next thing we're going to do is jack up the car and get it up in the air some. Take the wheels out. Start disconnecting from the bottom. And then we can pull the axle and then pull the engine. At least that's the plan. It looks like the only thing we can check off today is flush the radiator. A lot more to go, but we got plenty of time. That's it for this session, but don't go away because the next session is starting right now. This is the start of our next work session. We were pretty busy on the last work session, but we didn't really get much checked off the list. Today, that's going to change. Today, what we want to do is go ahead and pull the axles out, take the brakes off, disconnect the exhaust, and disconnect the transmission so that we can pull the engine. That's our goal for today, so let's get started. We've got the axles pulled out now. What do we got to do next?
Disconnect the shift linkage.
Okay, we got to disconnect the shift linkage. The transmission is draining. It started draining after we pulled the axles out. Hopefully we'll be able to pull the engine out today. We have the engine out finally. We're resting it on a tire. That's probably going to be it for today's work session. We'll just do a little cleanup shop, and then we'll see you at the next work session. But don't go away because the next work session is starting right now. It's the start of our next work session. Pretty nice weather finally, so we can open up the garage doors. Our goal is to pull the bell housing off, take a look at the clutch, the rear main seal, and put the engine up on the engine stand. So let's get started on that. Okay, we've got the transmission off now. We'll have to do an inspection on the clutch. I don't know if you can see that, but it looks pretty thin. So we're going to replace that. Still need to figure out where the oil is coming from. I'm not sure if it's coming out of the engine or the transmission, but we'll do an autopsy and figure out that too. Okay, we just took out the old clutch and we're comparing it to the new clutch from JGY. And we can see that the old clutch is down to the rivets. Explains why it was slipping so bad. So there's the difference between the old clutch and the new clutch. Doesn't look that bad, but it's enough to make a difference because it was slipping bad. We noticed that the clutch had a lot of oil on it, really greasy. That's probably part of the problem. So we're going to go ahead and pull the pressure plate off here, check the main seal on the back. Looks like we need to turn the pressure plate anyway. So the problem is, maybe it's not a problem, we just got to find a 12-point socket that'll fit that. Okay, we pulled the pressure plate off and it looks like our seal is very oily, which indicates that it's probably leaking right there. So we're going to go ahead and change that anyway. Okay, we're going to drain the oil out of the engine now before it runs all over the floor, which it might do anyway. Let's check. Nope.
Let me get it swinging.
No. We already did that with the transmission, so we go. We've got the oil drained now. We're going to take this outside and clean it up. Try to get a lot of that oil off of there. And then we're going to pull the seal out and take it from there. So let's get started on that. The engine looks a lot better. We're going to let it sit out here and dry for a little while. In the meantime, we're going to do a little clean up shop before we take off this cover right here so we can get the seal out. Once we get that cover up, we're going to mount it to the engine stand. Make it easier to work on the head gasket. We have reached a stopping point because we need to do a little research. We weren't able to get the seal out of there. We need to get some longer bolts so that we can bolt it up to the engine stand. So let's see what we can knock off the list right here. Well, survey says it's the start of our next work session. Our goal today is to pull the intake and exhaust manifold off the engine and the cam cover off. See what we got to do about getting the head off. Probably won't get around to taking the head off today, but we'll get as much done as we can. So let's get started. Look at that. We got the valve cover off finally. Look how clean that is.
I know.
That is awesome. Mobile 1. We're trying to figure out the VVL part of it. These cams have 2 lobes, one for each valve, but it's got some other lobe in the middle. Must be part of that variable valve lift.
Yeah, you can tell it's a little bit higher. The middle lobe is a little bit higher than the others.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
More power.
Yeah.
We dropped a 3/8 inch extension into the cylinder, and we're turning the crank till it gets to the very top.
Okay, so
and there it is.
That's the first one.
So we got top dead center.
Right there.
We're going to mark that.
Let me get a paint.
Oh, it's already got a mark, but we need, let's paint it. Yeah.
It's got lots of marks.
Well, those are your degrees advance in retard. So that one's the top dead center. I guess I'd be 1, 2, 3 degrees advance. We finally got the timing chain cover off, and I think that's all we're going to do for this session. let's go see if we can knock anything off the list here. Let's see. Survey says it's the start of our next work session, and the only thing we really have planned to do today is take the head off of the engine, and once we get it off, we should be able to figure out what we need to do next. But we'll at least get that done today, so let's get started. We just got the cams off. Now we need to find an Allen head wrench, which we probably don't have. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but there's some big Allen head bolts down in there that we need in order to take the head off. We'll see if we have one. If not, we'll have to run up to O'Reilly's and get one.
Holy crap.
Oh,
that is a long bolt.
That's a long head bolt. We took the head to Dover's Head Shop in Chattanooga. I've been using them for about 24 years and they always do good work. But we just wanted to have them look it over, make sure everything looks good. They didn't have to really do anything, but they did clean it up for us and made sure that it was flat. Everything looks nice and clean now. So we feel confident that the head is good now. We also decided to get some new head bolts just in case these are stretched any. We've ordered those from ARP. They should be in pretty soon. The engine that we have in our race car is a JDM engine. That means Japanese Domestic Market. The engine that's in this car was never sold in the US, but it's similar to the SER engine that came with a lot of Nissans. So we bought a head gasket. Here's our Philpro head gasket from an SER engine. We thought it would work, and everything looked good until we put it on top of it. Everything seems to match up, except for this one hole right here. We were able to find a head gasket from JGY, and we should have that soon. So in our next video, we'll be putting the head back onto the engine, all finished. That's going to be a wrap for this video. We wanted to get something out there for all of the fans who are eagerly awaiting our next video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If we know that people like it, we'll continue to make more. Also, consider subscribing so you don't miss our next episode. And if you click that notification bell, you'll be notified when we do upload a new video. That's going to be it. We'll see you in the next video.